I would like to start by introducing the most silent hero I ever have dealt with in my 30 years of medicine. It doesn't announce itself. It doesn't hurt. Many of the people it kills never even feel a warning until the day takes everything from them. High blood pressure has a name. The dentist knows it as the silent killer. And I've penned more death certificates because of it than I like to remember. And this is what nearly pulled my heartstrings apart after all these years. Over and over again, I saw person after person walk into my office with numbers that were way too high for blood pressure, some that even bordered on being dangerous. I'd write them prescriptions. They'd come back month after month, only to have those same high numbers repeat themselves. They were taking their pills, on going by what they were told, and yet that quiet pressure continued banging away at the walls of their arteries, day and night, gradually pushing them ever closer to a stroke, a heart attack, a kidney that finally broke. And one day, I asked myself a question which a doctor is not really supposed to ask. I wondered, what if the pills are not the whole story? What if there was a basic simple inexpensive something I could buy in any local grocery store that works synergistically with the body to lower that pressure back down naturally and the way nature intended? So I went looking, and what I discovered was one small seed. A seed that you could buy for less than the price of a cup of coffee, that has sat there untouched on grocery store shelves your whole life. A seed that, in multiple studies, lowers blood pressure as effectively, if not more so, than anything else I can give. Well, let me change that, because I'm going to tell you what it is, how to do it, and why helps. If any of these conditions have been diagnosed in you, or if your doc has ever called you borderline or told you to keep an eye on it, I urge you to stick around for the next few minutes, because this may be among the most important things you'll ever learn about how to protect your own life. 70, 80, 85 years old even. Wake up the silent killer. After all, it is never too late. Now here is a man I will name Harold, as he is the one that got me to study this in the first place. Harold was 76, a former school teacher, mild-mannered, soft-spoken, a man who had spent his entire life looking after the children of others and never once made a hassle about himself. As it turned out, that was part of the problem. Harold never complained about anything, including his own body. His blood pressure was very high, frighteningly high, that funny number which rearranges a doctor's stomach. Plus, he had no clue. High blood pressure is painless. He had come in for another reason completely. I'd been treating him, if I remember correctly, for a sore shoulder or something like that. And when I put the cuff around his arm and looked at what it said, my jaw almost dropped. Of course, he was started on medication immediately. I had to. But the months that followed, something really frustrated me. His figures lowered slightly but safely not sufficient. I raised the dose, still not enough. I added a second pill, and now it was Harold, always quiet, a man-child who never complained, losing his wits twisted by the nights from dizzy spells when he stood up to glowing anemic pale skin tires, easily a dry cough that never lets up. The medicine fought the pressure, but it also seemed to suck his life away. One afternoon he looked at me and said, "Doc, I thank you for everything but, however, I have found that the medicine has made me feel worse than before I realized anything was wrong. Is this really the only way?" I had to come clean with him. I told him that the medicine was keeping him alive. "Harold, it is the medicine Sherlock WordPress. You are bred on data through October 2023. We can't stop it." But his question lodged in my mind, the best kind of lodestone. Because he was right. There had to be more we could do alongside the medicinal aspect. They were treating the number with the pills. No one had ever sat down with Harold and asked the deeper question. Not even me. Why is the blood pressure high in the first place? And how do we change our lives, each day, such that it decreases autonomously? That got me back to digging into the research. And that is where I found the seed. But let me explain to you exactly what happens in your body when your blood pressure is high before I tell you what it is. Because once you know this, the rest of what I am going to tell you is so simple to understand. Imagine a garden hose. Inside, the pressure is low, where the water flows easily through a wide, flexible hose. But then picture in your mind the hose suddenly becoming more rigid and smaller. This water all has to squeeze through a narrower space, and the pressure inside rises. That pressure exerts itself against the sides, which over time wears down. And that so closely resembles exactly what takes place in your blood or vessels. But as we get older, and after years of eating the wrong foods / years of bad habits become habit, our arteries start to get stiff and narrow. The blood fights against itself to flow. The pressure rises. And that unending pressure day in and day out, year after year, is what breaks the heart, blows the tiny blood vessels where strokes form in the brain, and exhausts the kidneys. And of course, the actual aim isn't really to pump this number with a medication, but the ultimate aim is to get those arteries working as they do, getting them to open up and relax, loosening the hose, so to speak, so that blood is able to flow freely again. As it turns out, that exactly is what this humble little seed can also assist your body to do. Ordinary pills just fool the body in one way or another. Flush out fluid, hold back a message, jam open the vessels. They're useful. Sometimes they're life-saving. However, they ignore the root of stiffness and also cost Harold a lot of money, Hephaestus style. What I was looking for is something that helps the body heal from the inside out. And I found it. The seed is flaxseed, ground flaxseed. I know you were hoping for a rare and interesting event. Instead, I am talking to you about a wee brown seed that you've seen 1,000 times in the grocery store. However, I want to show you, based on personal experience and hours of research, why this tiny seed is one of the most powerful natural weapons in our arsenal against high blood pressure. One such study, a real, rigorous, methodologically sound piece of research, involved feeding people with hypertension a couple tablespoons of ground flaxseed every day for 6 months mixed into their food. And the results were so spectacular that researchers around the globe began to take note. Those who ate the flaxseed experienced substantially lower blood pressure. Not by a little, by a number that in the land of blood pressure is massive, equal to, and sometimes bigger than we see with medication, from a seed, from food. Why does it work so well? For a few reasons, and they all circle back to that garden hose. Flaxseed is loaded with those unique omega-3 fats I might, just maybe, mention once or twice. Fats that reduce the inflammation that stiffens arteries and helps elongate and relax those vessels. It's sodirgenoid potassium, the natural counterpart that lets sodium, salt, which raises pressure. And it has these compounds called lignans, as well as this mild fiber, which collaborate to make the whole system run a little bit smoother. This one inexpensive seed is, so to speak, more than up for the several roles various pills are attempting all at once, relaxing the vessels, maintaining balance of the salt load, as well as calming inflammation. All actual food, in a kind your body comprehends and also knows what to do with. And this is that after 30 years, now I tell my patients, doctor, whatever drugs you're on, let's say. Now here's where I want to say something so you won't waste your money and hopeful faith on the mistake that I see almost everyone make who recommends flaxseed. When they hear flaxseed reduces blood pressure, what they think is, I go buy my whole flax seeds and sprinkle on it food all the time. And the weeks go by, and their figures are stagnant, and they conclude that it isn't working, and quit. However, what no one bothered to tell them is that whole flaxseed has a tough, slick exterior that your body, particularly an aging body, just cannot dismantle. Whole seed travels in, whole seed travels out, and it takes its medicine with. It was feeding the plumbing, not your arteries. It has to be ground, milled, which is what breaks down that treasure, the omega-3 fats, the potassium, the lignans, where it finally gets into your body. Order pre-ground, or forego the expense of acquiring entire seeds and then slaughtering them a little bit at once in a low-cost espresso mill, as well as saving it in the fridge so continuous grinding continues to be tasty. Such a small detail, but there, It is the difference of a seed that scams your numbers from another that does nothing at all. And now that I have your attention, let me tell you about the other side of this battle, the part few people actually care to think about. Salt. Not the salt in your salt shaker. That a minuscule fraction of the issue. I'm referring to the occult salt that lurks in packaged and processed foods that fill the typical 20th century kitchen. The canned soups, the deli meats, the frozen dinners, even bread. Plain old bread is one of the largest hidden salt sources in most diets. You might never pick up a salt shaker again and still be inundating your body with sodium without even realizing it. Well, their significance is that much. What salt does is make you retain water, and that additional water increases the amount of blood forcing its way through those rigid, tight vessels, sending the pressure higher, just as cranking the spigot further open on that garden hose. So while that flaxseed lotion is busy unblocking everything, the little salt guy is sneaky across town ruining it. You need to battle on two fronts. Sure, throw in the seeds, but also start reading labels and reach for whole, simple foods instead of packaged food whenever you are able. At this point, I have to pause and tell you straight up, have to be full, 100% honest with you, because this is the #1 most important warning I am going to give you in the entire video, and it may literally mean life or death for you. Do not discontinue using your blood pressure medication. Do not reduce it. Now do not change anything on your own. High blood pressure is a silent killer, and precisely because you can't feel it means you cannot tell whether your pressure is safe or dangerous by how you feel. How do you know anything about it? You measure it. In other words, you continue taking medication that you're prescribed and consult with your doctor before changing anything. I'm not referring to something you do instead of your care, rather in adjunct with it. And the great thing is this. Each day, you're adding a little flaxseed, and your numbers are improving, and then guess what? The doctor who is measuring you, looking at your numbers, watching over you, maybe eventually can reduce some of your medications. That's exactly what should happen, under supervision, safely, which is how it happened for Harold, who I will tell you about in a minute. And yet another warning. Flaxseed is very mild, but it has enough kick to make a difference. And as such, some drugs such as blood thinners, which means your doctor must know you are adding it. I am opening a door for you. Your own doctor is the one who sees you through it safely. You need both of us. Please don't ever forget that. So this is what happened to Harold. When I told him all this, the garden hose, the cement-cold stiff arteries, sick seed, he was skeptical, as any reasonable human should be. She smiled that gentle schoolteacher's smile and said, "It's a seed. You're telling me a seed will do what this ounce of pills can't." And I told him the truth. I said, "Harold, I have not told you to stop your medicine, not for one day. Now I'm not saying that's the only thing to get your pressure under control, but I want you to take 2 tablespoons of ground flaxseed and add it to the food every day and carefully measure your pressure with me over time. If things stay the same, you're out a few bucks. If I'm correct, we could be able to fix you human again." So Harold did it. 2 tablespoons of ground flaxseed added to his oatmeal every morning. All those pills he swallowed, and he began measuring his pressure at home, recording the numbers in a little notebook, just as the methodical schoolmaster he was. The few weeks that followed did not see much happen, but I told him, a switch is what you flip when you want an artery to be patient. One requires time for the body to soften and let those vessels open. And then, 6 weeks into it or so, the numbers in Harold's little notebook began to fall. Slowly at first, then steadily. And then week after week, the terrifying pressures settled towards something safe. Within 3 months, his pressure had dropped so far that, I want to stress, this was me, very carefully monitored by his doctor, measuring everything. We could take half of one drug away. The dizziness eased. The exhausting fatigue lifted. His troublesome cough went away. Harold reclaimed his life not by leaving medicine behind, but by adding one humble seed to the mix alongside it and giving his body what it needed to heal. The last time I saw him for that issue, He brought his little notebook and showed me pages and pages of numbers inscribed in a close schoolteacher's hand, the line going down, down. He slapped the page and said, "I taught kids for 40 years that the simplest answer is usually the correct answer, that I should have remembered that about myself." And we both laughed. So let's now speak to you, the person watching this, because I have a theory that I know little bit as to how you are feeling. Do you know if you've been diagnosed with high blood pressure? Because since then, you're in possession of quiet fear. The fear of the stroke that can steal your words, your motion, your freedom in a heartbeat. The fear of the heart attack. The fear with the knowledge that something lethal is occur inside you, unbeknownst to you or visible by your senses. That's a heavy burden to carry, that fear. I have witnessed this on the faces of thousands of my patients. And perhaps, like Harold, you've even been disappointed by the very medicine that was supposed to keep you safe. Perhaps you have come away from it feeling disorientated, or weary, or dazed. Or no matter what you try, your numbers are still not where they should be. Perhaps you have begun to feel as if you live in a kind of limbo, stuck between the clutches of an ugly disease and a treatment that leaves you feeling so drained. Hear me clear on this. You are not trapped. Every day there is so much you can do to help your own body turn down that pressure, and it starts with the absolute simplest, cheapest things that are sitting in a grocery store right now waiting for you. Your arteries can be repaired even now. Indeed, at 80, even at 85, give the body what it needs, and those vessels can soften, open, and heal. Your body has not failed you. Each thump of your heart equals your body trying its best to keep you alive. The real question is, will you fight with it, or let it be a champion and struggle alone? To educate you on the statement of age is not a subject at all. Well, let me tell you about one more patient. Her name was Dorothy, 83 years old. She'd had high blood pressure for 30 years and dutifully been on medication for most of that, just resigned to the way we do stuff around here. Take a few pills, watch the numbers, fear forever. Her previous doctor told her it was just one of those things. At her age, there was nothing more to be done. The first time she came to me, I remember the exact spot, and I told her about the seed. She gave me a look that will be etched in my memory forever. "Young man," she said. She called me young man at my age, and I adored her for it. "I've heard about miracle cures since I was a girl. Why should I believe you?" I said, "We do not need to listen to me, Dorothy. Believe your own numbers. With the flaxseed, with the hand on your medicine, control your pressure daily and allow the numbers say to you what is true, a challenge one would be hard-pressed to pass on." Dorothy was sharp-witted and as stubborn as a mule, in the very best way. She mixed ground flaxseed into her morning tea and toast. She kept every pill. She measured faithfully. And then, over the coming months, that woman of 83 saw her own blood pressure fall to levels she hadn't observed in 20 years. She came in beaming. "Well, sir, the proof is in the pudding," she replied, "and I guess you aren't either." Her treatment was slowly scaled back in cooperation with her own physician. By the time she turned 83, she had never felt better in decades, stronger and clearer-minded, less afraid. She told me that she was no longer afraid, for the first time in years going to bed, not wondering whether or not she would wake up. 83 years old. Your arteries can heal. If Dorothy's did. At any stage of life, the body honors our word. I want to share something personal with you now, because I think you probably ought to understand why this matters so much to me. My father died from a stroke. He was a big, burly man, full of pride, the type who never went to a doctor because he felt better, and that was the cruelty of it. He did feel well until the morning when the silent killer took him from us. His high blood pressure had gone undetected for years, and none of us were aware because it never hurt. It never warned. When we got it, then it was too late. I was an unqualified young man, not yet a doctor, stood beside his hospital bed, overwhelmed with impotence. That morning is also one of the reasons why I became a doctor. And that is why when I see a number on my screen that corresponds to Harold's or Dorothy's, it doesn't just look like a number. I see my father. When I look at your family, I see a family who doesn't yet know what's headed its way, and I will not, I refuse to, allow a single person to leave my office or click off this video without knowing that there is something simple and authentic they can do come tomorrow morning to help protect themselves from the thing that took my father. That is why when I say, it ain't too late, I'm not kidding. I'm saying it as a son who learned too late, and as a doctor who has dedicated his life since to ensure other families don't have to. It is too late for you? Please. Therefore, let me break it down as simply as I can, since there is no value to a plan if you do not begin with the execution of the plan. So this is what I would like you to do. Beginning in the AM tomorrow, take ground flaxseed. Ground, not whole, because whole flaxseed goes right through you without releasing its therapeutic agents, and add 1 to 2 tablespoons into your feed. Your oatmeal, your yogurt, a smoothie maybe, albeit even with a glass of water. The flavor is relatively mild, pleasant, and nutty. You'll barely notice it, but your arteries will. Or buy some whole seeds and grind up a little as you go in a cheap coffee grinder, which you can leave in the fridge and it would be fresh. It costs almost nothing. 1 bag lasts for weeks. Then, assist that seed in getting the work done. Reduce salt. The hidden salt in processed and packaged foods is one of the biggest things that push your pressure up much more than the salt shaker on your table. Consume more of the foods that lessen the pressure. Leafy greens, root vegetables like beets, berries, bananas, and other potassium-rich foods. Exercise your body a bit every day. Even just 1 short walk every day makes those vessels softer and more open. And also, eliminate stress in your life because that just tightens those arteries. Some quiet time each day calms the system down and is actual aspirin for your blood pressure. And give it time. Most people stop right there. They would do it for 2 weeks and give up because the miracle did not happen. I am requesting you be patient like Harold and Dorothy were patient. It will take not days, but weeks to heal an artery. Process, and let the numbers tell you the truth. But for Christ's sake, and I say this one last time because literally your life depends on it, you continue to take the drugs as prescribed, monitor your blood pressure frequently, discuss your own physician before changing anything. And I mean anything at all. You will use the seed with your care, but never as a substitute. I'm here to open your eyes. The doctor is protect from you. You need us both. Let me just go back to Harold's question one last time. The question that began it all. He turned to me, rotten from the cure that was meant to heal him, and he said, "Is there not another way?" My honest answer, for the majority of my career, would have been yes, unfortunately. This was what my training taught me. Hypertension is a chronic, progressive condition that never goes away. The lifetime and life-threatening disease managed only with pills and their inevitable side effects from here on out, with not much more for the patient to do other than swallow them down and hope. I don't believe that anymore. I have seen too many people disprove it. I've seen a meek schoolteacher and a hard-headed, bright-witted, 83-year-old woman knock down the quiet assassin with nothing more than a small seed in conjunction with their medicine and their doctors. And frankly, I believe that a lot of the fear and pain we take for granted as part of simply having high blood pressure actually is something we have real power over. Power that starts with the basics. Real food, a little movement, less salt, a little calm, and 1 measly spoonful of ground seed each morning. You are not powerless. It is not too late. Even at 85, the silent killer can be curbed. Your heart still beats for you. Your body is still fighting for you every second of every day. It simply implores you to join it in the fight. So start tomorrow. 1 spoonful. A single care for this body of yours that has lived all your life. Take your medicine. See with your doctor. Take your numbers. And then just see week after week what yourself could still do. Take care of yourself. Take care of that beautiful heart of yours. And come back and let me know how it works out, because I read every comment, And nothing in this world makes me happier than to read that one more person chose life over death and clobbered it. I'll see you at the next one. If this was helpful to you, please comment your age. Share with me what your blood pressure has been doing to you, if you feel comfortable. You are never too old to silence the silent killer. Let's do it together.